Today, we're going to talk about a law that you've absolutely run into, even if you don't know its name. It's called COPPA, and it's the reason pretty much the entire internet is obsessed with your age. So let's get right into it.
You know what I'm talking about, right? It's one of the first things you see online. You're signing up for a new app, a new game, whatever, and bam, there it is. Are you over 13 or a drop down for your birthday? It feels kind of random, but it's not. It's all because of this one single piece of legislation from back in the 90s.
So to understand why this law even exists, we have to kind of hop in a time machine and go back. Picture the internet in the 1990s. It was this brand new digital frontier, a total Wild West, where there were basically zero rules about collecting people's data. And that was especially true when it came to kids. And the scale of this problem was just massive. Get this. A report to Congress found that a staggering 89% of websites that were made for children were collecting their personal info. We're talking names, addresses, phone numbers, and most of the time, parents had no idea it was even happening. So yeah, something had to be done.
And that's where the main character of our story comes in. In response to that whole data free-for-all, the US government decided to step in and basically create a rule book for the kids' internet. Let's break down what it's all about.
All right, so what is COPPA? Well, it stands for the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It was passed way back in 1998, and its mission is actually pretty simple. If your website or app is targeting kids in the US, you absolutely cannot collect personal data from anyone under the age of 13, unless you get their parents' permission first. Period. So what do companies actually have to do to follow the rules? Well, it really boils down to three key things. First, they've got to post a really clear, easy-to-find privacy policy. Second, they have to let parents know directly what data they plan on collecting. And third, and this is the big one, they have to get verifiable consent from a parent before a single piece of that information is collected. Okay, so the law has rules, but does it have any teeth? Does it have any real bite? That brings us to the big question. How is COPPA enforced? And what happens when these huge companies just don't comply? Well, as it turns out, the fines can be massive. Let's start with a company we all know. For years, YouTube was in this kind of gray area. Was it for kids or was it for adults? Well, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, that's the agency that enforces COPPA, decided it was time to find out. So in 2019, Google and YouTube had to pay a record-breaking $170 million fine. Why? Because the FTC found they were tracking what kids were watching and then using that data to hit them with targeted ads, which is a huge no-no under COPPA. And that settlement, well, it fundamentally changed how YouTube works today. Next up, let's jump over to the gaming world. Fortnite, one of the biggest games on the entire planet, also found itself right in the FTC's crosshairs for how it was handling data from its younger players. And whoa, look at this number, it's even bigger. In 2022, Epic Games was hit with a $275 million penalty for violating COPPA. The FTC said they were illegally collecting kids' data and then making it super difficult for parents to get that information deleted. And of course, we've got to talk about TikTok. It's a platform that just exploded in popularity, especially with younger users. And it was actually one of the first major social media apps to face a really big COPPA penalty. Back in 2019, TikTok's parent company paid a $5.7 million fine. Now, that might seem small compared to the other numbers we just saw, but at the time, it was the largest COPPA penalty ever. It was a huge signal that the FTC was getting serious about this, no matter the platform. Okay, so clearly COPPA has led to some huge fines, but that's definitely not the whole story. The law has also faced a ton of criticism over its actual impact on the real world and, well, some pretty major unintended consequences. And here we get to the absolute heart of the problem. COPPA's goal was to put parents in charge of their kids' data. But what happened in reality? Well, a lot of kids just learn to lie. They pop in a fake birthday to get past that age gate, which means they bypass all the law's protections completely. Some studies even show parents helping them do it. And the criticisms don't stop there. Some people argue the law has this chilling effect, where companies are just too scared to make content specifically for kids because of all the legal risks. Others say it actually suppresses a kid's right to free speech online. And then there's the argument that, even these massive fines are just a drop in the bucket for big tech. And maybe, just maybe, parents should be the ones in charge of this stuff, not the government. So with all these challenges and all these debates, what's the next move? The whole conversation around kids' privacy is always changing, and lawmakers are really trying to update the rules for the internet we live with today, not the one from the 90s.
And so that brings us to the proposal for what a lot of people were calling COPPA 2.0. It's an effort from both sides of the aisle to try and modernize the original law and patch up some of its biggest loopholes and shortcomings. So the big question is, what would actually change? Well, this new version would extend privacy protections to teenagers all the way up to age 16. It would also just straight up ban targeted advertising to children. And it would create what's being called an eraser button, giving parents and teens a really easy way to delete a child's data from any service.
And that leaves us with this final, really critical question. As we debate these new laws like COPPA 2.0, where does the real responsibility lie? Do we need smarter, tougher government rules to protect kids online? Or does it all just come down to education and maybe more engaged parenting in this crazy digital world? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.